One man invented an army of spies, and Hitler treated the fiction as fact. Juan Pujol García had no formal espionage training when his strange campaign began. He became the double agent Britain called Garbo, while Germany trusted him completely. His greatest performance centered on the Allied invasion of Normandy in June 1944. German commanders expected deception, yet Pujol made the wrong story feel more believable. Actually, his genius was not telling one enormous lie, but building many smaller truths. Those details supported a larger claim that Normandy was only a diversion. German forces therefore kept watching the Pas-de-Calais for another major Allied assault. That delay protected the growing Allied foothold during a dangerously vulnerable moment. Garbo's weapon was credibility, carefully accumulated before he ever needed the decisive lie. To understand the trick, we have to meet the remarkably unlikely man behind it. Juan Pujol was born in Barcelona in 1912. Far from any secret service. His early life included ordinary business ventures, including managing a poultry farm. The Spanish Civil War then pushed him through experiences he deeply disliked. He encountered political extremes and emerged hostile to authoritarian movements on both sides. That background mattered because Pujol's spying began with conviction, not professional ambition. Well, he decided Nazi Germany represented a threat he personally wanted to resist. He was neither a decorated officer nor a polished diplomat with privileged access. Instead, he was persistent, imaginative, observant, and unusually comfortable constructing detailed stories. Those qualities would later matter more than the glamorous skills associated with fictional spies. His historical origin story is almost absurdly ordinary: frustration, conviction, and improvisation. The Second World War gave those unlikely traits a stage large enough to matter. Pujol first offered to help Britain, and British officials repeatedly turned him away. Most people would have stopped there. But rejection gave him a bizarre new plan. He would become useful to Germany first, then offer Britain something far more valuable. Using false credentials and relentless persuasion, he approached German intelligence in neutral Spain. Now, German officers eventually accepted him and expected reports from inside Britain. The absurd route worked. German trust finally made PR useful to the British. Instead of traveling to Britain, Pujol moved to Lisbon and began inventing his access. He studied maps, newspapers, guidebooks, and railway information to imitate life inside Britain. His reports contained mistakes, but they also contained enough detail to sound informed. German handlers gave him the codename Arabelle and continued treating him as a source. By feeling into espionage, Pujol had somehow created the opportunity Britain had denied him. From Lisbon, Pujol described a Britain he was not actually seeing at all. He turned public information into secret-looking reports about movements, ports, and military routines. Some errors revealed his ignorance, including misunderstandings of British customs and transport. Yet German intelligence did not immediately discard him, because the reports felt structured. Actually, Pujol learned a crucial rule: believable fiction needs boring details, not constant drama. He added schedules, expenses, personalities, delays, and excuses that made the operation feel human. When information arrived late, he sometimes explained why an imaginary courier had failed. When a fictional source became inconvenient, Pujol could create illness, trouble, or disappearance. Every explanation generated another layer of history that future reports could reference. The result resembled a living organization instead of a single man improvising in Portugal. That growing consistency made the fake network much harder for handlers to question. Garbo did not invent one fake spy. He eventually built a network of 27. Each imaginary subordinate had a location, personality, relationships, expenses, and supposed access. Some were careless, some reliable, and some only connected Garbo to other invented people. That variety made the network look more authentic than a collection of perfect sources. In fact, imperfect agents were useful because real intelligence networks are messy too. German handlers paid money intended for people who existed only in PL's paperwork. The fictional network also allowed one source to confirm another without exposing Garbo directly. A report from one imaginary contact could support rumors attributed to a second. Every supposed colleague existed only because Pujol kept the details consistent. By 1944, Germany was not trusting one stranger. It was trusting an entire invented ecosystem. That is what turned an eccentric liar into a strategic intelligence asset. By early 1942, Pujol had finally made the British take his strange operation seriously. By April, he had made contact with MI6 and was brought to London. He was brought into the British double-cross system and given the codename Garbo. His principal MI5 case officer, Thomas Harris, helped transform improvisation into disciplined deception. Now, the operation gained access to real intelligence planning, secure communications, and careful timing. Pujol still supplied imagination, but British specialists could prevent dangerous accidental disclosures. They also controlled which true details could be released to make false claims believable. The partnership mattered because successful deception is rarely the work of one person alone. Garbo became a performer backed by editors, researchers, planners, and analysts, checking every line. British officers could compare German reactions and adjust future messages based on enemy behavior. The amateur spy had finally reached the professional system he once tried to join. Why did German intelligence keep believing a man who was secretly working against it? The answer begins with psychology, especially the power of expectations and accumulated trust. People rarely judge each new claim without considering everything they already believe. Garbo's earlier reports created a history that made later claims feel less surprising. Actually, he mixed useful truths with false conclusions, giving Heiner's reasons to stay confident. That resembles Bayesian updating. New evidence is weighed through existing beliefs and prior assumptions. Timing also mattered because late accurate information could build credibility without changing events. Garbo could report something true after action was already unavoidable, appearing impressively informed. Then, when the critical falsehood arrived, it inherited credibility from those earlier successes. One deception therefore worked like compound interest, with small deposits building a large balance. The science of belief explains why his network became more powerful over time. By 1944, the Allies needed Germany uncertain about where the main invasion would land. Operation Fortitude supported a broader deception effort designed to protect the Normandy assault. Planners created signs of forces that appeared positioned for an attack near Calais. These included false formations, controlled radio traffic, equipment displays, and carefully managed rumors. Now, Garbo gave that enormous stage something especially valuable: a trusted human voice. His fictional divert could describe supposed preparations as if ordinary people had observed them. That mattered because one signal can look suspicious, while several independent signals feel convincing. Garbo's reports did not operate alone. They reinforced a much larger picture. The deception worked as a system where physical clues and human reports supported each other. German analysts therefore received a story from multiple directions instead of one convenient source. Fortitude was not simply a fake army. It was an engineered environment of expectation. Calais was a logical target, which made the deception stronger before Garbo said anything. It offered the shortest crossing between Britain and France and obvious strategic advantages. German planners already had reasons to fear a major attack in that region. Garbo's task was to strengthen an existing expectation rather than invent an impossible one. Actually, that is a classic deception principle. The best lie often resembles a prediction. False information becomes easier to accept when it matches geography, logistics, and prior concern. Allies planners encouraged the idea that Normandy could be only the opening distraction. The imagined follow-up attack near Calais became the larger threat Germany kept watching. Calais worked because geography had already made the deception feel plausible. Garbo succeeded because he pushed attention toward a possibility German commanders already considered plausible. The trap was strongest precisely because it did not look like a trap. D-Day created Garbo's most dangerous problem. He needed truth and deception to arrive together. If he warned Germany too early, he could endanger the actual Ally landings. If he warned too late without explanation, years of carefully built credibility could collapse. British planners therefore managed the timing of his communications with extraordinary care. Now Garbo sent information that proved valuable but could not prevent the Normandy assault. After the landings began, he argued that Normandy was not the main strategic blow. He warned that the larger attack would still come around the Pas-de-Calais. That message transformed visible reality into evidence for the lie rather than against it. German commanders could see Normandy happening and still believe something bigger remained ahead. The missed radio appointment actually strengthened him. Because the Germans blamed themselves, Garbo had achieved the perfect deception move, explaining away the fact that seemed to disprove him. The most important question is not whether Germany believed Garbo, but what belief changed. German forces remained concentrated around the Pas-de-Calais even after the Normandy landings. The National Archives notes 2 armored and 19 infantry divisions stayed there through summer. Those formations, therefore, were not immediately available to increase pressure on the Normandy bridgehead. Actually, this shows how information can shape physical outcomes without moving anything by itself. A false belief changed where real soldiers, vehicles, fuel, and command attention remained allocated. The societal cost of war makes that leverage enormous because every delayed decision affects logistics. Deception was inexpensive compared with creating another real invasion force of comparable scale. Yet its value depended on thousands of actual troops fighting and supplying the true campaign. Garbo did not win Normandy alone, but his work helped protect a critical strategic window. That distinction makes the achievement more impressive, not less, because it shows coordinated power. Imagine being decorated by both sides of a war for serving opposite purposes. Germany awarded Garbo the Iron Cross because his handlers still considered him valuable. Britain later appointed P.O. a member of the Order of the British Empire. Those honors capture the extraordinary depth of the deception better than almost any statistic. Seriously, one government rewarded the information while the other rewarded the manipulation behind it. The awards were not equal in meaning, but together they reveal unmatched operational trust. Garbo had persuaded Germany that failure around Normandy was not evidence against him. His credibility survived the very event that should have destroyed a false source. One side honored the spy, while the other honored the deception behind him. Few spy stories offer a cleaner ending to the question of whether the enemy believed. By that measure, Garbo's performance was astonishingly complete. What if Garbo's network had collapsed just before D-Day and Germany stopped listening? No counterfactual can prove exactly how the battle would have changed. German commanders still faced other Allied deception efforts, uncertainty, weather, and operational constraints. Yet losing a highly trusted human source could have weakened the Calais narrative. Actually, the danger shows why the Allies never depended on one trick alone. Fortitude used overlapping signals, so one failure would not automatically expose everything. Without Garbo, Germany might have shifted confidence faster after Normandy became undeniable. That could have altered the timing and location of reinforcements sent toward the fighting. But claiming one spy single-handedly saved D-Day would stretch evidence beyond what history supports. The stronger conclusion is severer. Garbo made a broad deception system more critical. His absence would have removed one of its most persuasive human components. Garbo's legend is exciting, but the known genius version hides how intelligence actually works. Timas Harris shaped messages, analysts checked details, and planners coordinated them with wider operations. Signals intelligence helped Britain understand whether German authorities were accepting the deception. That feedback allowed the team to adjust the story instead of blindly repeating it. Now, think of the operation as a scientific experiment with constant measurement and revision. A claim was sent, enemy reactions were observed, and the next message changed accordingly. One convincing source became more powerful because an entire institution protected his consistency. That is the hidden machine behind Garbo. Creativity sharpened by institutional checking and feedback. Great deception therefore depends on creativity, but also discipline, verification, timing, and feedback. Garbo supplied a remarkable imagination. The double-cross system turned imagination into strategic influence. That combination is why calling him great should not erase everyone working behind him. After the war, Pujol faced a strange problem: surviving success without becoming a target. British intelligence helped protect his identity, and reports of his death were deliberately circulated. He eventually settled in Venezuela and lived far from his wartime fame. For decades, much of the public did not know where Garbo had gone. Believe it or not, writer Nigel West later tracked him down in the 1980s. Pujol then reappeared publicly and revisited the places connected with the Normandy campaign. His story became easier to reconstruct as records, interviews, and archival material emerged. The ordinary post-war life makes the wartime deception feel even more improbable. One of history's celebrated double agents did not spend decades living like a movie spy. He largely stepped away from the identity that had made him strategically important. Pujol died in Quironcas in 1988. leaving behind an unusually documented career of invention. Garbo's story matters today because disruption technology changes faster than human psychology. Modern systems can generate convincing text, voices, images, and networks at enormous scale. That makes Garbo's old lesson about credibility more relevant, not less relevant. Actually, verification now depends on checking sources, incentives, timing, packenance, and independent confirmation. Fast information can feel persuasive simply because many accounts appear to repeat it, but repeated claims are not independent evidence when they originate from the same source. Future intelligence work will increasingly need tools that trace relationships between apparently separate signals. Garbo's paper network has a digital echo. Many voices can share one hidden origin. Garbo burned 27 fictional agents by hand. Software can entertain crowds almost instantly. The defense is not cynicism, because refusing everything can be manipulated too. The better habit is disciplined doubt. Trust slowly, verify independently, and watch how stories connect. That may be Garbo's most useful legacy from a world built on carefully managed lies.